Hello everyone and welcome to Movie Review UK. My name is MJ and today I'm going to be reviewing The Ritual. The Ritual is directed by David Bruckner and it is a horror movie. I saw it through Odeon Scream Unseen. If you're not familiar, you pay just over £5. They've recently increased the price and you get to see a movie that is unreleased and that they claim is going to be good. And you don't know what it is, essentially, hence why it's called Scream Unseen. It is a take on Screen Unseen, but specifically for horror film fans. So, when the reveal was made and we found out it was The Ritual, I was very happy. It was a film that I'd actually heard very little about, so I didn't have any kind of clue about the plot or anything like that. All I knew was that it was a British horror movie. It stars Rafe Spall, the guy from Prometheus. And it is about four gents, at the beginning of film 5, who essentially go on a holiday to Norway, like a hiking holiday, to pay commemoration to their friend who was murdered. And yeah, things start to go a bit pear-shaped from there. They find themselves in a wooded area, and from there it's a fairly typical witchcraft genre film. There's been several of these, I'd say, and it sort of is its own subgenre now. Do you think that's fair to say? Anyway, what I liked about it was it felt very much like quite a realistic take on how certain characters would react, including the dialogue and just what they actually did. I actually really liked about this film. It does have a very British flavour to it, a very British nature, with kind of British banter between a group of lads, and there's actually a few little nuggets or injections of humour in the film that actually work quite well. Some of them slap bang in the middle of very horror-centric moments, which usually I'm not the biggest fan of, but actually in this case there was one particular laugh in the film that I really did like, even though it was in the middle of a horror scene. Just kind of cut the tension a little bit, but then we were, it was still maintained the atmosphere and the tone, which I really liked. It's a fairly suffocating film in places in terms of the tenseness and the fear building. It's very ominous. It's got some extremely disturbing scenes, not many to be honest, and perhaps an argument could be made that the most disturbing and creepiest and potentially best scenes happen fairly early on when things do go pear-shaped, but it certainly kept me entertained until the end and I liked it all the way throughout. It does suffer a little bit from horror movie ending, in the classic thing with a lot of horror films, not all of course, but a lot, is that they just get a bit too much in the ending, and when everything is revealed it's perhaps not quite as scary as what is implied or led up to when you don't know or don't see everything. So perhaps there is an element of that in there. However, I actually really like the characters. I think that they're quite well realised, and as I said earlier, actually they make decisions that you are like, as a viewer, you're like, yeah, that's a pretty fair reaction to that situation, which is certainly not always the case with horror films. It's really nicely shot. It's got a very nice location. So as I say, it's set in the Norwegian or Swedishian, that area, woodland, which I think helps to give it a sort of like a greater sense of isolation. You're in a foreign country, and so you do feel that lack of homeliness. And yeah, it's just a very good film. Like I say, those few disturbing scenes I think are really what sort of makes it a little bit, and it helps to set the tone for the coming hour or hours of the film, the coming hour of the film, I suppose. Even actually the opening scene, which is where a bad thing takes place, I won't go into full spoilers, but even that had my heart really pounding, and I wasn't sure what to expect at that point. But yeah, actually, when it came down to it, the film is just a pretty standard but well made and good witch/woods horror movie. I enjoyed it, I enjoyed the characters, and yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I'd give it a 7.5 out of 10. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this review of The Ritual. I hope that you go and see The Ritual, because I do think it's definitely worth a watch at the cinema. And if you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment below and subscribe for more.